Well, hello, everyone, and welcome here to Bedford. Nick Anastas, Chris Cameron with you. It's the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. We've got a lot to get to over the next 90 or so minutes. Tournaments in full swing. We have the D1 Girls Championship game set. The boys ready for the Final Four. And we're going to break it all down, as we said, over the next hour and a half or so. We'll be joined at the bottom of hour number one by BG senior John Sullivan, a commit to West Point, a multi-sport athlete looking to add a ring to his already impressive resume this week with the Cardinals. Meanwhile, Connor Hawley, he'll be set to join us at 9:45, the coach's son for Exeter, another senior, another NCAA commit, headed to Clarkson. Hour number two, we speak with Riley Bouvier, the junior standout for Bishop Girton. She is on her way to Stanford. A ton of scores, a ton of stuff to get to. NCAA wrap up top, I'm sure we'll mix in there as well. Coach, how you doing?
Good to be back.
Ready to roll?
It's been a while. Ready to roll.
It has. Let's start with you guys. Speaking of rolling, your team still undefeated in Division I, no real problems against Nashua North and Nashua South. You will face off against Bedford in the semifinal. Your team seemingly has played here and stayed here really all season long. Take the temperature here. As BG gets to graduate, their seniors will go through that ceremony tonight. Your team, you feel like they're ready to go and playing their best lacrosse heading into Tuesday's Final Four semifinal.
Yeah, I mean, to say we're playing our best lacrosse, I can't answer that because just of the way the schedule was so top-heavy and it got weaker as the season went on. So it's definitely our most dominant team we've ever had. I mean, Exeter with a 12-6 win was the closest game we had. Everything else has been, I think the averages, it was averaging 18 a game, giving up 4 games. So there's been a big score differentials. But we could find out how good we are usually by playing the Massachusetts teams, which we didn't happen this year. We were close to getting a game with Lincoln Sudbury, but it fell apart at the last minute. So we're just going. We usually do a lot of 1s versus 2s in scrimmaging, but we're doing a lot of 1s versus 1s, and that's how we're challenging ourselves to get better. So I don't know. I think there's signs that we're getting better as individuals and as a team, but they're definitely ready. I mean, we're not going to be sleeping on anybody. Because Bedford is a team that looked good. I mean, I watched the broadcast last night. And they've gotten better. Coach Joe Hansmeyer has done a great job. So they don't have the high end talent that we have, but they have a lot of really good players and a lot of really good athletes that play tough.
Yeah, let's stick with this Bedford theme here. The Bulldogs yesterday were up 8-2 on Sauhegan at halftime, and then the skies opened up. There was an hour and a half delay due to lightning, and then in the second half, Sauhegan came back, it seemed like, with new energy, a renewed purpose, and things were much tighter in that second half, although the Bedford Bulldogs did close it out in that fourth quarter on a 4-1 run, win the game 14-6. But sometimes can that long layoff at halftime hurt a team that's got a pretty big lead on the board?
Yeah, you can never figure out which team it's going to favor and which team it's going to be a disadvantage for, and it's always a swing. It's always that momentum changes, with that, and you could see that Sauhegan just came out so flat. Sometimes teams, I know they graduated. I don't know if Bedford graduated that day too.
They did.
That always has an adverse effect, and they just didn't come out. I think Riley Lowhorn was kept in check by the Bedford defense. Will Enders did a very good job on him. Very good. One guy can't stop him. I mean, maybe our team can because we have John Sullivan or Aiden Ahern that can match up with him.
But Enders did a great job.
Did a very good job, very good team
mentioned.
Defense. And Matt Desmond, who's probably, you have Zach Connerty from BG, the goalie, Ethan Johnson from South, and then I think Matt Desmond's in that mix is probably the third best goalie in the state. And he was injured against us, which seemingly was like a month ago. Didn't play against that. They had a week off. Didn't play against Exeter, and he's back. And he really solidifies that defense down there. So they're a solid team.
Yeah, he's a youngster too, Desmond. Yes. He'll be back. In terms of the attack, Connor Augusto, he looked like he was dialed in right away. Scored the game's opening goal. Went on to have 5. And then you got a guy like Will Greer looking to make that extra pass. He wound up with 6 assists. And then Max Maniello seems like he's a physical presence as well. Went on a mini run of his own, scoring 3 in a row to begin the second quarter. Throw all those guys around the central point, which is, of course, the head coach in Matt Johansmeyer. And you mentioned you seem like the Bulldogs, who got off to a pretty good start out of the gate, have improved and have been one of those teams that have gotten better to this point anyway.
They have. I mean, he's done a fantastic job. He's, you mentioned Connor Hawley. He was out for a little bit here and there, but he plays like a Canadian. He's a goal scorer. I mean, he could just light it up, so you have to know where he is at all times. Maniello, D1 kid going to Siena, he's a high-level shooter. I mean, he could rip it from, most guys are 12, 15 yards. He can stretch beyond 15 yards. So you have to know where he is, and he's got the size. I think he's 6'5" now. You got Will Kramer at that midfield.
Is he 6'5"?
Maniello,
wow.
Yeah, he's 6'4". I mean, 6'4".
I knew he was big. I didn't know he was that big.
He's big,
okay.
Yeah. You got Will Kramer. You got Quinlan Kerr on defense. They're and we mentioned Enners, and facing off. Roberto, his own Roberto's gotten better, but that's going to be a big advantage for us at the face-off X, because having J.J. Murphy, he's just been going off at 80-90% clips all year round.
Right. Well, that'll be Tuesday. It'll be in Bedford,
4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. They bumped it up a little bit to give everyone time to get out to Exeter for the championship game.
For the girls.
For the girls.
Yep.
And I not assume, but the Exeter's hosting Pinkerton in the boys' semis.
That's also at 4 on Tuesday.
At Exeter. So is it 4?
Yep.
I mean, I figure they'd have to bump it up to give time to, clear the facility to get ready for the girls' championship.
Right. And in case we have another rain delay.
There is something on the
is there?
Yeah, it's showing up as a 40% chance right now.
Okay.
And that's what you get during these June. It just seems like
when it's
humid.
humid.
A lot of these is humidity.
Right. It went from 90 and sunny to windy and rainy like that yesterday at halftime in Bedford, so sure. All right, you mentioned the Pinkerton-Exeter matchup. They got there. Exeter had a bye in the preliminary round. A quarterfinal victory was no problem over Dover yesterday. What was that, 15-3, I think was the final?
Yeah,
16-3
is what I saw.
So another win there for Exeter. And again, Pinkerton, they had to survive Londonderry, which they did. They knocked off the Lancers in their third meeting yesterday by a final score of 9-4. Pinkerton, of course, opened up the tournament with a 19-3 win over Salem. So here comes Pinkerton, seemingly playing again better than they were a month ago. Exeter beat them twice by 2 goals each time. So what do you think there, Coach, as they get set for their third matchup?
So Pinkerton's loss to Londonderry enabled them to win this game. I really believe, because I mean they could
late regular season loss.
They could have got tripped up in the playoffs if they didn't. So that game where they lost at Londonderry, it's different when you're playing those 2-game sets. You beat them kind of handily at Pinkerton, and then you go to grass 2 days later in Londonderry. And Londonderry they're the more athletic, more physical team, and they play better, deserve to win that game. But then there was Coach G had them focused and ready to go. From what I heard, I didn't see the game or heard the game, but I just heard that they control 9-4. They just controlled the ball. They have Cole Frank, who's an outstanding freshman faceoff specialist. They just had the ball all day long. So that's the game that they had to play to beat Londonderry. So now you fast forward to Tuesday. Ben Beals and I were just talking. It's tough to beat a team 3 times. It really is. Coach Hawley's aware of that.
It's one of the truest adages in sports. It really is.
And it's obviously if you have teams that are a wide talent discrepancy.
But those
it's a little bit easier. But those 2 teams,
right.
I mean, they were 2. I think they were 2. I mean, I know the second game was 11-9 or 9-7. So it was like both games were like 2 goals roughly in that range. So it's going to be a battle. Exeter is the more physical, more athletic team. The goalie play is about the same. Solid but not outstanding. Streaky goalie play. The face-off, I think.
Exeter still rotating guys there?
Exeter is deeper, but when they need a face-off, they go to Spencer Clark. So that's what is going to be the challenge for them, because Cole Frank is probably I think he probably won 80% of the clamps, maybe 65-70% of the possessions the first time. So how much does Coach Hawley have Spencer Clark? Because it's going to be 90-something degrees.
How does a freshman get that good? I mean, you had Murphy come in as a freshman as well. Now it seems like it's the same, perhaps, trajectory for the freshman over there.
It's a very specialized position. It's not like the athletes back in 2004 when I first started. you could be a bigger, stronger guy and just be able to rake
just
it.
Have your best athlete
and then
go out
scrum
there.
and go out there.
Right.
But now it's so specialized. The work that they put in is intense, and it's so technical that if you don't do that, you can't compete with these guys. And that's what Cole Frank, he's coming off an injury too, so he's. But
nice. I mean, even at the freshman, a 15-year-old, 14 even, going out there and beating an 18-year-old. I mean, that in itself, I think, is remarkable.
It's just, it's not the way they put the ball now. It's not so much a guy just bowling someone over, being stronger. It's just being quicker and being technically sound. So Spencer Clark, that's what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to be the more physical guy there against Cole Frank. But they kept Hunter Druin in check both games, where I don't think he was solid, but I don't think he had any, he didn't go off and have any 4 or 5 goal game.
Yeah, against Exeter?
Yes. Riley Spellman, the first game against Exeter, went on a streak where he scored 4 in a row.
Right.
Second game, he played a little bit tired, and they focused on him more, so they took him out. So that's the key is with Pinkerton. You got to focus on those two guys, take them out of the game.
Spellman could maybe be a wild card.
Make someone else beat you.
All right. Let's talk D2. As we stay with the boys here for a moment there, what quarterfinals were yesterday as well. Their semifinals will be played on Wednesday at, well, we'll tell you where in just a moment. How about Hollis Brookline? We've had our eye on them all year. Young team, energetic head coach in Ken Blaska. Hollis Brookline back on Monday looked very good in a first-round win over Wyndham. Cavs took care of Keene without a problem, 12-1. Timberlane, after a bye, beat Alvern 18-2 in that preliminary round. So then you have 2 hot teams, 2 good teams meeting up, and Timberlane took it home 14-9. They eliminate Hollis Brookline. The Cavs hadn't lost to a D2 team all season. And Timberlane dispatches them by a 5-goal gap. How good is this Owls team as they head into the Final Four in Division II?
I mean, I thought that looking at the brackets, we could talk a little more about these random draw brackets and how it all played out. But that was a surprise. That was an upset. That was an upset. Coach St. Laurent had Hollis clicking. And when not seeing everybody playing everybody, it's tough to really get a feel for the levels of teams. But you knew that Timberlane, we had Coach Blaska on here. They lost to Winnicott 13-3. 2 days later, they come back and take them to
overtime,
to double overtime.
Yep.
So they were trending up. They were playing well, but still a surprise. Certainly still a surprise because I felt that the winner of that Wyndham Hollis game had a pretty good path to get to the championship because they were avoiding Derryfield, they were avoiding Winnicott, avoiding Portsmouth.
Right.
So now Timberlane, just looking at scores, Kingswood, it was tough to see, but it looked like Hanover, who got outmatched by a lot of teams, this year, gave Kingswood a game. So I would assume Timberlane is the favorite coming into that game. Maybe
I think Hanover had the lead at halftime.
So they were playing with them. So it could be a Timberlane, and then you go down to the Derryfield has to travel to Portsmouth. That was one of the better games, one of the better broadcasts that you guys had all year was that scene at Derryfield. When Portsmouth traveled there, and it was a 5-4 win for Portsmouth. Since then, Portsmouth kind of trended down a little bit.
They lost to Winnicott.
They weren't playing. Dom Eldari, who's their best player, one of the best players in the state, out with an injury, which seemed to affect them. But then, to their credit, I thought Winnicott was the team, and they took
that may be the biggest travesty of the whole tournament. Is the fact that Portsmouth and Winnicott, 2 very short tier contenders in Division II, by again luck of the draw in that 4th region, had to face each other. Not even in the preliminary rounds, but round 1 of that 21 team tournament. I would say if anyone has a gripe, it would be Winnicott. But then again, the other side of the coin is you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, no matter what the round is.
You got to beat him at some point. It's very similar to basketball, where Exeter and Winnicott played in that in that first round. Exeter had beat Winnicott 3 times by maybe a total of 10 points. 3 very competitive games. In the playoffs, I guess the expression is tough to beat a team 4 times.
Yeah.
Came through there. Winnicott then went all the way, marched to the championship, wound up losing, but. In this game, that was the one that, I don't think that they're getting the 4 best teams. On the boys' side on the Division I side, they did a very good job. Exeter and Pinkerton playing each other with a chance to play, match up with BG or.
I think they got it right.
They got that right. Maybe Londonderry, but I think you got 4 of the best 5 teams, in Division I. Division II, I think maybe you're going to get, I think you have 2 of the top 6 teams, maybe.
Maybe. Again, not a lot is known about Kingswood, except we know that they keep winning, right?
Yeah.
They're the only undefeated team.
Who's the lower seed in that game?
In Division II.
Where's that game at?
Let's pull that up. Again, that'll be Wednesday. The boys' Division II semifinals will be Wednesday. Derryfield at Portsmouth at 5 o'clock, while Timberlane is going to go up north to Kingswood.
So
for that 5 o'clock
that
start.
Could have been one of those things with Hollis. I don't think Timberlane, I've never been on that campus. I don't think they have turf. So I think that's
Timberlane?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. I don't think we did a game there
I'm pretty sure they're grass. So Hollis, who's a turf team now, goes and plays one of their few games on grass, and I think that could have a big effect. So now,
which again serves to what? Slow the game down in comparison to being on turf.
It's a different game with the ground balls specifically. The face-offs are different on grass. It slows the game down. It's a little bumpier.
Ground balls harder to read.
Ground balls harder to read.
Yeah.
You got to get down low. You can't get lazy. Turf teams become very lazy with ground balls because it's very easy.
Right. Ball's probably up higher, right? Moving.
Just sit. Consistent. So that could have something to do with that game. But I would assume that we're going to be looking at a Timberlane, and then I don't know. Coach Hetler seems to find a way to get it done. But that Portsmouth staff with Coach Vischer and Coach Balter, they're outstanding. That's going to be, you don't want to say that's the championship, but it kind of has the feel like last night's girls game. That was kind of the feel. The two best teams.
Well, we've been talking about
BG played each other last night.
We've been talking a lot about Portsmouth and what's been going on there. Strong junior class, veteran head coach, obviously battle tested at this point. They loaded up their schedule, and Derryfield, as we know, the respect that comes along with being a 4-time defending champ. Again, that last year, no lacrosse, but Coach Hetler's got 6 rings in his case. I would say that has a little bit more additional storylines maybe around it, that matchup between Derryfield and Portsmouth. They only met once during the regular season. It was a 5-4 Portsmouth victory in Manchester in a case where the Cougars were shut out in the second half. So I'd imagine both head coaches are going to go a little deeper maybe into the game plan, into the bag of tricks.
Into the game plan, yeah. They can't go. Derryfield doesn't really have the option to go deeper into the bench. They're just
not the bench, but in terms of maybe rolling some new stuff out for this latest matchup.
You're sitting on a lot. Yeah, you're sitting on a lot of things because Chris has had some games so far in the playoffs where Coach O'Brien did a great job with Pembroke, but they were just overmatched. So Chris could have been working on a lot of things to get ready, knowing that he has Portsmouth because his game before that, he had Goffstown, which was a 19-2 or something, and then he had the Manchester team.
Derryfield over Goffstown 16-2. They beat Manchester Memorial/West 18-1, and then a 15-2 win, as you mentioned, over Pembroke.
So that afforded him the ability to rest guys. Sometimes it's a grind in the playoffs, but that's a pretty good draw.
Especially having to play that extra game by not getting a bye, right?
I don't think they got too exhausted with those 3 games. He probably only had to play guys a half. He tends to leave his guys in a little bit longer, so maybe he played them 3 quarters. So that's that. And then the D3 bracket, I think that's another game where 2 of the best teams met early. Again, FNL had that game early on this year. You had
Trinity
Pelham?
Trinity
Campbell game.
Sorry.
Coach Josh Knight at Campbell, first year, the AD there, did an outstanding job with that Campbell team.
And they were playing well, and then Trinity comes away with a 10-6 win.
Was it 10-6 or was it a 1-goal game?
I think it was 10-6, according to the right here.
Oh, really?
Right? Oh no! There is no score for that game.
It was. I think it was a tight game. I think it was a 1-goal game.
8-7.
8-7.
You're right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it was a 1-goal.
Trinity
game.
then beat Pelham yesterday
10-6,
by a score of 10-6.
Yeah, it got a little scrappy there at the end. I heard it was maybe some. I don't know if it was a fight or almost a fight there at the end of the Trinity. But Trinity, I think that Trinity Campbell game early on,
again first round,
one of those teams was going to march to the finals. Because you have Hopkinton, Coach Deacon Blue, who's just he's got a great thing going on with those guys. So Trinity Hopkinton. Hopkinton is defending champ.
Yeah, Hopkinton's rolling 15-3 over Brady, 15-0 over Hillsborough to get to the semis.
Yeah, so that's a very favorable draw.
Yeah.
So again, they're coming in fresh. Trinity maybe a little more battle tested. The other side
is Plymouth, right?
I think Plymouth is probably the favorite in that game. These games are going to be played at the Bank of New Hampshire in Laconia. The championship is in Laconia. So
it's a nice field, by the way.
So this is an interesting one. Trinity is the 2 seed. Hopkinton's the 2 seed. So where do they play that game? I think it's the old coin toss.
Is that what it is?
That's what they do.
Wow.
Because if Sohegan would have defeated Bedford yesterday, they would have coin tossed it to determine where we were playing Sohegan. Not a major deal, but it's just that's what they have to do.
You prefer to be at home, though.
When you have multiple, absolutely. The comfort of Stellos. So that I think you're looking at a Plymouth Trinity. I mean, Hopkins, Coach Blue's got a lot of experience. As young as he is, he has experience in the playoffs. But Trinity seems to be the more complete team right there. It's tough to get it totally right. But it would have been nice to see Campbell maybe in this Final Four because I think they were definitely one of the
right. Trinity will play Hopkinton, as you mentioned, and Lebanon is the other team.
Don't know much about Lebanon.
They will play Plymouth. Lebanon got there with a bye and then a win over Monadnock by a final of 12-6.
Okay.
So there you go. There's the boys'
one interesting
Division III tournament.
Sorry to cut you off. Was Dover. So Dover doesn't play a D1 game all year,
even though they are a D1 team.
They play a D2, D3 schedule, but they get their first D1 win ever, defeating Merrimack in the
first round,
preliminary round, and then they had to play Exeter, and they just got overmatched. But that team, if you look at their scores, Liam Murphy, they got better. They got better. Sometimes that's what
they gave Portsmouth a pretty good run.
Yeah, they
in the
did.
Final week of the regular season.
They got better. There's just a huge difference this year between the D1 and D2. You could just see that like the bottom. Like a bottom D1 team, Dover giving Portsmouth, a game.
But I think that's maybe a credit to again D1 getting stronger.
D1,
right?
yes, yeah. D1 is stronger than
in years past. The bottom part of D1,
part,
yeah.
So
you got to give credit there. They Dover, they beat Merrimack 9-7 to open up the tournament, and then again lost yesterday to Exeter 16-3. All right, let's talk some girls. D1 tournament, D1 championship game is now set. We'll have coverage for you on Tuesday as well, part of a boys-girls doubleheader. We'll do Exeter-Pinkerton at 4 o'clock Tuesday. Stay in Exeter for the championship game between BG and Pinkerton. But let's recap the tournament before we preview that game. Astros, they had a bye and then took on Londonderry after the Lancers beat Salem 17-3. That was a game on Wednesday that we covered, by the way, and you can watch on the archives. A good one in the end, but Pinkerton outlasts Londonderry, jumped out early in that game, defended the lead, and win it by a score of 15-11. They look pretty good in doing so as well. They take care of Exeter yesterday in the Final Four without much of a challenge. And then Bishop Girton, as we know, undefeated during the regular season. They beat South 18-2 in the prelims. They topped North 27-1. And then yesterday, right here on this program, they beat Bedford in a pretty good game.
Very good. I mean,
a very good game by a score of 11-9. They had to do it from behind. They trailed at halftime by a score of 7-5. And ultimately, Bedford, very bright future. I would say that's a young team. It's bringing a lot back. And we're close last night, but in the end, BG with that veteran group really took over in the second half to capture it 11-9.
Yeah, so much to say about that one. So it was a game of runs. BG 5-1 to start.
Yep.
Coach Hodgson calls a great timeout. Next thing
at that
point, she takes a timeout. They go on a 6-0 run to take a 7-5 halftime lead.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the third series of runs was just all BG. And that was basically I think they wore them down. They moved Katie Campbell into the draw circle, which gave them Mimi Piercy and Lindsay Holt on the. I mean, Campbell was taking the draws, and then they on the draw circle. Just the athleticism, they wore them down, and it's a possession game. And then BG just seemed to have the ball all second half. I mean, and then I thought, as you said, the youth movement, Reagan O'Brien and Olivia Matthews were, they're not at Riley Bouvier's level or Lindsay Holt or Mimi Piercy, but for sophomores, they were pretty close. I mean, they were outstanding.
Don't forget Grogan, too. Grogan played well.
Grogan was outstanding. O'Brien was outstanding, and Matthews, they were just, and then,
and how about Ellie Enners,
she did
too, another sophomore.
She did some good things, just not the same athleticism level, but she seemed to have the ball in her stick all day long and just making plays where BG, without Julian Bell in the lineup, that kind of hurts their depth, so BG was able to really focus on Enners, but between those, I mean, they had no business being in that game from a talent standpoint. I mean, the talent was favored BG in every way, but Bedford just played hard, played smart. They fought to the end. Their goalie made saves, and they left everything on the field. So you got to give them credit, and I think they'll be back even stronger, next year. They're a team that certainly could have been, could have been the championship game, because Pinkerton, to preview the final a little bit, we'll be talking with Riley at 10:15, but Pinkerton has the talent. Abby Joed, who's a senior from Pinkerton going to Bentley, she's been scoring goals at 5, 6, 7 goals a clip. Madison Daisel, her younger sister Caroline Daisel, is out hurt right now, and she was one of their leading scorers. So they have.
She got hurt in that Londonderry game.
It was in the Londonderry game.
I think so. Yeah.
So she was having an outstanding season. But Pinkerton was tough to figure out. I watched the broadcast you had versus Londonderry, and Londonderry beat them handily. Handily. And then
played a great 50-minute game that first game by Londonderry. Yeah,
they so Pinkerton, they're hot and cold. Sometimes but you think BG's going to get their best shot. Coach Daziel is going to have to win some draws, and he's just going to look to really slow that game down. He's going to want this game in single digits. He's going to try to get this game to be 8-7, 9-8. That's his only chance, because if BG gets out and gets a lead, it's going to be tough for them to.
Yeah, they look scary in transition, especially with Bouvier with that speed.
Yeah, Bouvier,
for sure.
Yeah, Bouvier, Holt, Piercy. They go all day long.
But Joette, you're right. In that kind of a one-on-one setting down near the cage, her size, her skill, she's got good footwork. Seems like
she's outstanding. She's been having a great year. Amy Quigley, Allie Lampier.
Quigley's another one, right?
Quigley, Allie Lampier's going to Merrimack. She's really good. So they just don't have the depth. Or the high-end talent like a Bouvier, like a Holt, but they have some really good players, and they're going to be very well coached. And their best player probably overall is Lauren Sweeney. So she's the goalie. She's the goalie. She didn't have a great game against London that day. She might have been injured or might have been not feeling well. Who knows? But she's going to be the X factor, because if she's out there making saves, that could keep them in the game. All
right. Programming note: our broadcast on Tuesday night, the boys' game is at 4 o'clock. That's Pinkerton at Exeter. That game you can watch in real time and in 1080 HD, by the way. Presented by Beals Insurance, live on our channel, FNLNH Media. Then the second game, the girls' Division I championship game between Pinkerton and BG. That game can only be seen live on the NFHS website. We will have the call. We'll do the broadcast in conjunction with the NFHS, but the only way to watch it live on Tuesday night at 7 is to go to their website, which I think is nfhs.org. Yes. However, if you can't make it live, don't want to go and watch it Tuesday night, you can watch it on our channel later in the week once we are given the green light to release it publicly. But the NFHS owns the rights to those championship games, and the only way you can watch those games live is, again, on nfhs.org. Wait a couple of days. We'll put it up on our channel at that point, and you can watch it for free. All right, Coach, coming up, we're going to talk to one of your guys, not just on the field, but on the hardwood as well, one of your better basketball players there in BG. That, of course, is senior John Sullivan. He seems like he's no nonsense, going to the Army, going to West Point, going to play for them. He's in our highlight intro video, by the way, dunking a basketball.
Dunking the ball, right?
To give you an idea, with a mask on.
Yeah. Oh, that's painful seeing the mask.
He's joining us next, and he's a guy I've had my eye on for a little while, being a basketball fan and a lacrosse fan as well, of course.
So the he did not make the all-defensive team for basketball, but to me, I didn't see anybody better than him. He had a guard, now it's been a while, but Curtis Harris from North, who's just a sensational athlete, and he held him in single digits. And then the player from Londonderry, 55.
The point guard. I forget his name. He was good, too.
Another great.
He missed some time for them with COVID and stuff.
But he was the guy that carried them to get to the Final Four. And then John in the Final Four held him to single digits. And then there was another match. I mean, every game we asked him to take the other team's best player, whether he was a point guard, whether he was a big guy. And that's the way he is in lacrosse. His sophomore year, he didn't play varsity as a freshman. He was late to the game of lacrosse because he was a basketball player, he was a soccer player. Shows up, and I said, John, here you go. I gave him a long pole. So we could talk a little bit about that. And ever since, the rest is history.
Right. He's taken off for sure. All right. He's next, and we're back in just a moment. You're watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Well, our stable of guests continues to grow. We've got John Sullivan on the line. We'll get to him in just a moment. The BG senior headed to West Point. About 10 minutes from now, Connor Hawley, Exeter senior headed to Clarkson, is going to join us. Top of hour number 2, Max Maniello has signed on to the program. The Bedford senior graduated yesterday. He's on his way to Siena. 10:15, BG junior Riley Bouvier, a Stanford commit, will join us. And then 10:30, Lucy Lacota of Derryfield. She's a senior headed to Colgate. So a lot of ground to cover over the next hour or so. Let's get right to it and bring in John Sullivan, multi-sport standout athlete at Bishop Girton, heading to West Point in the fall, joining us now here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. John, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. You guys undefeated, playing well. I asked Coach this question earlier. Do you feel like your team is playing their best lacrosse right now, heading into the semifinals on Tuesday against Bedford?
Yeah, I really do think that. Especially, we had, a couple of injuries, so we faced difficulty there. But now, guys are starting to come back, and the energy is really up right now. We all have one goal, and that's just to win a state championship. So I definitely think that, we're ready to go, and we're playing our best lacrosse.
Yeah. Your team, as Coach said, typically plays out-of-state competition. During this whole COVID-19 situation, those rules have kind of, I guess, prohibited your club from challenging themselves in other ways. But Coach said the practices have been a little bit different lately, with starters pitting against starters, etc. As a senior, have you looked for ways to keep your guys engaged despite some of these double-digit blowout wins? And what is your role amongst some of the players as this season has progressed here and you're enjoying your senior year?
Yeah, so ways to keep guys going. It's definitely interesting because obviously the 2020 season didn't happen. So all the guys are so engaged right now just because we missed last season. And, I mean, we just wanted to play so bad last year. We would have had such a special team. So that's kind of a way to keep the guys up. Just them knowing that, we missed out on the opportunity last year, and so it's an even bigger opportunity this year. Um, so that's how, we keep the guys engaged. And my role as a player on the team, I would say one of the, I don't know, guarding the best midfielder if Aiden Ahern doesn't, and then Matt Craney will usually guard the best attackman. And then, kind of socially with the team, I don't know, I like to keep the guys, I just like to keep the energy high because, if the energy's not high and we're flat before a game or for a practice, then, it's kind of a waste of a practice, or, a waste of a game just because, it seems like it's just like no one's having fun, and that's just not what we're looking for. We're looking for all our guys to have fun and get better at the same time. So I love to keep the energy up at practice. And I feel, sometimes it can be hard if it's hot out or if the guys are tired after a long day of school, but, we try our best.
Coach saying you're a relatively newcomer to the sport. You had played soccer, basketball, obviously. We can talk about that in a minute as well. But how did you eventually find yourself with a lacrosse stick in your hand?
Yeah, so I've actually been playing for a little bit. I started, I think, in middle school, but I actually played short stick, offensive midi. And I was, I don't know, maybe average. I wasn't a great player. Just wasn't for me. And then tryout sophomore season, Coach Cameron pulled me aside, just said, would you like to play long ball? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever. So, I agreed to that. And then that season went on, and I think I slowly progressed. But then my junior year, I think fall of my junior year is when I kind of made a big leap playing Tomahawks. Just playing at, it's a lot higher level. So you have to kind of get used to it and play along with that. So that was when I think I really got a hang of it. And then, this summer season was really interesting, just playing against a ton of really good guys, playing around a great team. And then obviously coming into the spring season with a lot more experience on my back. It was definitely a good decision for me to make. And I can't thank Coach Cameron enough for moving me to LSM.
Yeah, so the position change seems like worked out, right, Coach?
Yeah, you could certainly thank Coach Soames as well. We knew right away when you put a pole in someone's hands, he was just so natural at it, and you could just see that that was greatness was ahead for him. And John, he talks about being a leader. He leads his energy just at practice. He leads by example. He's a perfect player, leads by example. But John, you talked about how you always get the toughest matchup, for lacrosse. How has it helped you playing basketball where you had to guard the likes of Curtis Harris or Cox
Jackson Cox
at London? Does that help you, prepare you for the it's a different level athleticism that the basketball players possess, but there's some great lacrosse players that you have to go against. How does that help you?
Yeah, so guarding tough basketball players, especially guards, is something that I really enjoy, but at the same time, it's definitely a challenge. A lot of the guards are smaller than me, quicker than me. But in basketball, it's a lot of read and react. So just reading, reacting how the offensive player, which way they go, what move they're going to do, trying to predict that or just react as fast as I can. And that definitely helps in lacrosse because I don't have a 6-foot pole in front of me. Playing basketball, so I can, if I keep a pull on someone's hip, I can kind of read and react where they're going to go faster, just because I have that pull and I have more time. So it's definitely helped a lot, and a lot of the lacrosse players, it's kind of easier to tell, which way they're going to go, just based off, what their strong hand is. But basketball, guarding players like Curtis Harris and Jackson Cox, and players like that, they can go right or left with speed and crazy athleticism. So guarding basketball players, especially guards, definitely helps a lot in lacrosse. Yeah.
So one that got John on the map was we were playing down at the NAL tournament in in Delaware, and there was a player, Dante Trader. I don't know if you remember this game, playing for Mad Lax. Dante Trader was the 3rd-ranked player in the class. He's going to the University of Maryland to play lacrosse and football.
Wow.
So not only did John shut him down, held him to 0-0, but he stripped him twice going the other way for assists. So that was kind of when, like, who was this Sullivan kid? Because John, when I said, he didn't play, he was a 3-sport athlete, so he didn't really focus himself to Tomahawks until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. And everyone knew the other LSM, Tommy McNeil, who's going to Virginia, but they're like, who's this Sullivan kid? And then, he just, that's the type. And then the other kid, John, if you remember that same fall, the kid who was the number 1 ranked kid in the class for a while, Mulholland, going to Michigan, John shut him down to 0-0 and stripped him. So he's able to compete. He dominates the New Hampshire scene. He had a lefty goal yesterday. I mean, that's
wow.
For a long pole, he's closing in on double digits if he's not there already for goals. But that's the type of athlete he is. But his skill set has caught up to that, which comes with hard work.
Scored 2 goals against Exeter, if I remember right?
He did, yeah. Yep.
All right, John. Final question. You're going to be an Army man very soon. What led you to the decision to commit to West Point?
That's a great question. It was fall going into winter of my junior year. And I was sitting on the decision for a while between Army and Rutgers, and it's about a month and a half that I was sitting on that decision, just looking at all the pros and cons, talking to my parents, really closely talking to Coach Cameron, just about really what I want to do. And then, I got a phone call from one of the coaches, late at night. I was doing homework. And he really sold it to me. He was just saying that Army makes you the best version of yourself possible. And obviously it's a great program. They were as high as 4th in the country this year, I believe. So it's a great program, great coaches, great energy. And especially on my visit, I went down, actually the Friday before, the Army-Navy football game, and seeing that energy, I mean, you can't really top it. I mean, I was in the lunchroom and there were, guys on tables screaming, yelling, beat Navy, all that stuff. So, you can't really top that energy anywhere else. And, it seemed like a great community of guys there that are just all looking forward to, one goal of a national championship. So that's what really sold me on going to West Point.
Well, we appreciate your time. Good luck this week. Good luck tonight as well with the graduation ceremonies. And thanks for jumping on with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sully.
And again, John Sullivan. Sometimes a man amongst boys, right, Coach? Just one of those special athletes that really is starting to fulfill that potential that you saw a few years back.
Yeah, he just moves differently than anybody on the field. I mean, he just has that. And you see him, like when we have the video where he's going up and dunking. I mean, he just has that different level of athleticism and the IQ, the basketball. And I coach defense. Basketball defense translates to lacrosse defense. So that part of it he picks up nicely. But then the skill set is something that he didn't have with the long pole, but you could see it was going to come, and he put the hard work in, and now he's the complete. We look for LSMs to be 3 things. 1, a shutdown defender. He's that. Create havoc in the middle of the field. Turnovers, he creates that. And then transition. And he, as you said, 2 goals versus Exeter. He had a lefty goal yesterday. I think he's got close to 20 points this year overall. So he's the complete package. And as good a player is, he's a better kid. Certainly going to miss him. Yep.
Certainly got some golden pipes on him, doesn't he? He's got a deeper voice than I do. A singer of a rock band or something. John Sullivan, we appreciate it for sure. And good luck again to the BG seniors tonight with that graduation ceremony. All right, we'll talk with Exeter's Connor Hawley in just a moment. Real quick break, right back with the Exeter senior on his way to Clarkson next. You are watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. It's the FNLNH Lacrosse Show here on Friday Night Lights New Hampshire. It's presented, of course, by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. One more Sunday next week, 9 a.m. We'll recap the entire season, and that'll be the season finale. We appreciate those of you tuning back in with us after we took Memorial Day weekend off last week. We thank John Sullivan, the BG senior headed to West Point, for jumping on. A couple minutes from now, 10 minutes or so, Max Maniello, the Bedford senior, now a graduate from BHS. He'll join us, talk about his commitment to Siena, and preview that upcoming Final Four game against BG Tuesday night. Second hour, Riley Bouvier at 10:15 Eastern, the BG junior. Looked good last night in that Cardinal win against Bedford. She's on her way to Stanford. Again, 10:15, Riley will join us. And then 10:30, Lucy Lacota, the Dairyfield senior. Got the Cougars in the hunt for a D3 title on the girls' side, of course, and a Colgate commit. Lucy will join us at 10:30. Right now, Connor Hawley, the Exeter senior, who is on his way to Clarkson, joins us here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. There he is, out on the porch, enjoying life, it looks like.
On the seacoast.
How are you, my friend Connor, this morning? How are you?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Good. Congratulations on a big win yesterday, as you really had no problem with Dover. That one 16-3 final score. And now I guess everything you've been working towards, right, is right around the corner Tuesday night. A rematch with Pinkerton, a chance to get to the championship game. That senior class you've been playing with has really played together the last handful of seasons. How big of a moment is this here that you're about to embark this upcoming week as, again, the semifinals get underway on Tuesday?
Yeah, this is something that our group of guys has been looking forward to since, we started playing together. This is a goal that we've had for as long as I can remember. The semifinals is usually a place where we fall short, but this year I think we really have a good shot at getting the win, and I'm really looking forward to playing that game on Tuesday.
We keep hearing the old adage that it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a season. And that's exactly the task that awaits you Tuesday night against Pinkerton. Is that something you guys have thought about, or is it just noise and you guys will be ready to go once that opening face-off rolls around?
Yeah, they're definitely a great team. Not someone we want to take lightly, even if we have beaten them 2 times already. We know that on any given day they can beat us or we can beat them. I'm not necessarily saying that the three wins thing is something that might come true, but it's definitely not something we're going to take lightly, and we're going to go out there and play our best lacrosse on Tuesday.
You're not only one of the senior leaders for Exeter, but you're also the head coach's son. What's that been like, having to play for Dad, and do you think he holds you to maybe a little bit of a different standard than the rest of your teammates?
Well, it's definitely a completely different experience because, I'll go home and I'll be able to talk to him about the game, maybe talk to him about game planning for the next one. There's a lot of things that we talk about outside of practice, stuff, what we should be doing in practice. So I definitely say that it's a different experience having my dad as the coach, but I'm not so sure that I'd say he holds me to a different standard because he likes to treat all his players the same in that regard.
You mentioned it. Have played with your classmates, have played with your teammates for quite a long time now. And now that the end of the journey, one way or the other, is around the corner, is that starting to weigh on you a little bit, or is there time to look back and reflect later on?
Yeah, absolutely. This is these could be the last couple lacrosse games that I play in an Exeter uniform. It's really nostalgic in a way. It's kind of sad that the season's coming to an end, but it's also really, really good to look back at the memories that we've created as a team. This is a really good group of guys. I love everyone on this team, and I know that we can get it done. So,
your future looks like a bright one. You're on your way to Clarkson. You're going to continue your playing career one way or the other beyond your days at Exeter. What went into that Clarkson decision, and was that a long time coming, looking to I guess, ink a deal, so to speak, and play at the next level, at the NCAA level? Was that always the goal for you? And again, what stood out about Siena that made you want to commit there?
Clarkson.
Clarkson.
Absolutely. That was a goal that I've had for forever, was to play collegiate lacrosse. And Clarkson's a great school. Coach Cash really sold it. You know, Liberty League's probably the most competitive Division III lacrosse league. They got a lot of great schools, and I'm really excited to go in there and compete. I love the coaches there. I love the location, and I'm just really excited to go out there and compete.
Yeah, Connor, you had I'm not surprised how great a senior year you're having, because the summer that you had this summer leading up to it was incredible. He played at the highest level again, and he was, when we needed big goals for that 21 Purple team, he came through. So I'm not surprised that the level that you're playing at this year, you're kind of, you do it all. We see you on the wings. We see you lined up at attack, lined up at midfield. Where do you feel most comfortable playing?
Right now, I'd probably say the attack spot or dodging from the wing down low. I kind of like being the facilitator. Plus, it's less running, but I'll really go anywhere. I don't hate. I love playing midi. I love playing everywhere. I've even grabbed a pole a couple times this year. So.
I've seen your video. He's a really good goalie too. I've seen him hop in goal. His dad didn't like it, but on the indoors on Sunday, he hops in goal, and he can certainly play. He could do it all. So you mentioned the senior class. I think it's 17 or 18 players in your senior class. In my time, I don't think I've ever seen a group of players that enjoy being around each other so much. Like on Sundays, you guys roll in. It seems like you roll in all 18 of you guys together. You guys love being around each other. So what's that been like? How long have you guys been together at the youth level?
Yeah, this is a great crew. I wouldn't trade them for anyone in the world. We've been doing a lot of fun team bonding stuff together. Like some days we'll go and we'll play mini stick lacrosse on the turf, just all the guys. It's been great being able to share such an amazing season with these guys. I love each and every one of them. It's just been unreal. I'm so thankful to have such a great group of guys.
Yeah, no, it's been a great group, and now we talked about you guys had two very competitive games with Pinkerton. Now you have them at home. How much of an advantage do you think that's going to be, and are they going to allow students at this game on Tuesday?
Yeah, they actually just removed the mask mandate for outdoors, so I definitely think there should be a lot of kids going to that game. In years past, Exeter Pinkerton has been a really fun lacrosse game that everyone loves to come see. So I think having it at home is a pretty big advantage, just because we're going to have a couple more guys there to watch it. We know we got to play our best, and that's just what it is.
It's exciting. It's the matchup that a lot of people thought we were going to see, and I think Coach Hawley has his team with his 2 stars, Connor Hawley and Spencer Clark. Those are the stars, but there's a lot of really good players around them.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be there, Connor, on Tuesday for sure, and we expect that you guys will put us on a pretty good show for sure. So thank you for jumping on with us. Good luck on Tuesday night against Pinkerton. And good luck the rest of the way at Clarkson as well. Thanks again, Connor, for jumping on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Connor Hawley, Exeter senior. And Coach, you nailed it. I keep hearing stories about the Exeter senior class, the camaraderie. Coach Hawley, again, Connor's father, has said similar things along those lines. How big of a difference can that make in a tight spot, especially in a tournament game, knowing that you're out there battling with guys that you really care about off the field? Can that make a difference?
Oh, sure. The locker room, the lead, it's important. It goes a long way when kids liking each other, playing for the guy next to you. It's you can't measure the amount of goals, but it just gives you that extra energy, the extra fight to play for that guy next to you, and you see that they do that. And Connor, he's been around that Exeter program for, so my first year playing Exeter was 2004. So what's that, 17 years ago? He's probably maybe just born at that time.
And Jerry Hawley was there, right?
Jerry's the only coach I think that's been there longer than me in D1. So I don't know when he started, but he was there already, before I got there. And Connor was one of those ones where Clarkson is a great fit for him, on so many levels because it's such a good academic school. But he's a D1, he's a D1 level player that had D1 options. And then what happened was with the whole shutdown, not having a season, but then having players come back for 5th years, dried up a lot of spots. So that created a little bit of less opportunities at D1 level, but he still had some. So he looked at it.
Is that the case with the shutdown in general?
Yeah,
it's really hurt this class in terms of in terms of that recruiting.
Yeah, so he played on the same team that John Sullivan played on, and they're a top 5 team in the country. So they're going against the top guys, and he just had, one big goal after another. He's kind of a kid that the pressure doesn't get to him. So he played. And what happens is, say a team has 10 spots. Now all of a sudden they're going to save 3 of those spots or 4 of those spots
right?
for guys coming back for 5th years.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened with guys in that class that were late to commit. That's why. But Clarkson in the end was a great decision because they were so excited to get a player of his ability because he's just a. I don't know. I think I was curious what he thought about. He won't line up for wings in college, but he's a lefty, which lefties are a premium.
Yeah.
And where is he going to be, attack or midi? You don't know that. You're just going to be a lacrosse player out there. But he has that I don't know if flexibility is the right word, but where he can play both.
Sure.
And that's what Clarkson loves about him, where he can be an offensive midi. He's not going to be a defensive guy, but he'll be an offensive midi or a lefty attacker.
They got a good player. We know that. Either way, no matter what the position.
Loves to compete.
All right, Max Maniello, Bedford senior. He's the guy headed to Siena, and he'll join us next here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, summer and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit newhampshiretomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. On the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, Nick Anastas, Chris Cameron, live from the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford. We've got Riley Bouvier coming on, hot off the practice field for BG. Cardinals getting ready for that D1 championship game coming up on Tuesday night. Lucy Lacota, senior for Derryfield, will join us at about 10:25, 10:30. But right now, the Bedford senior on the boys' side, Max Maniello, is joining us here. Bulldogs set to take on BG in the D1 semis on Tuesday in Bedford. There is Mr. Maniello, all 6'5" of him. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Are you really 6'5", as Coach was describing?
I'm like 6'3.5", 6'4".
All right, so I gave him an inch.
Typical.
Say 6.
Coaches always give you the extra inch, I guess.
Wait till you see when it's Sienna. What do you think you're going to be listed as on the roster? 6'5". 6'5".
Probably.
They'll bump you.
You guys look good yesterday, Max. Must have been an emotional day, really from start to finish, right? You had the Bedford graduation, high school graduation in the morning, outside, 90-degree weather. You go out, you play a lacrosse game that starts at 5, doesn't end till about, 8 o'clock or so, 8:30 nearly after that 90-minute delay in the middle of it. You hold off a feisty Souhegan team, you walk away with a win, and now you got to go ahead and get ready for BG 48 hours later. Tell me what kind of a whirlwind it was for you and your teammates yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy, especially we have 8 seniors on the team. So going from, like you said, that 90-degree weather and just maintaining that hydration throughout the day and all those factors, it was definitely crazy. And then you have the rain delay at halftime. So there are many factors that go into it, and those were just the 2 main ones.
That first half especially, it was hot down on the field. They said temperatures over 100 degrees down there on that turf field. Did that affect you or your teammates at all, or is that something that once the game commenced wasn't really noticeable?
Yeah, when the game first started, it wasn't really noticeable, but during warm-ups, you had guys that were like, oh, like it's getting hot out, but our coach was just like, guys, like the weather can't be a factor here, like you got a great opportunity, so we definitely took the opportunity and we put the weather aside.
You've played now 2 seasons for Coach Joe Hansmeyer. What's that been like? He seems like a player's coach. I noticed at halftime, Roger Howe actually noticed it, but we saw Coach go over and talk specifically to every player while that second half warm-up or that halftime warm-up was going on. Is he a player's coach, so to speak, and what's it been like playing under Coach Joe Hansmeyer?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great coach. Personally, he's a guy that I can turn to for really anything, and he's been around the game for so long. So he does do a very good job at individually checking in with everyone. Not just even on the lacrosse field, off the lacrosse field as well. So yeah, he is definitely a guy that you can turn to, and he's definitely a player's coach for sure.
How about your role with this club, with this team? What's your leadership role been? Who are some of the other leaders, some of the other vocal guys on the squad? I mean, what's the upper tier, so to speak, the hierarchy of the Bedford locker room? What's that look like?
Yeah, so for me as a captain, it's definitely one of the big things has been maintaining the energy, especially in practice because those practices translate into the game. So keeping the energy in check, keeping the guys up we have competition days during practice just to maintain that energy. And, I have to constantly remind them, like, look, guys, like, we're still in this. We have, just as good of a shot as anyone else in this. So for me, being a captain, it's taking on that leadership role as well as the other three captains. And yeah.
Have you used the fact, and it seems like other players, other coaches maybe have kind of struck that chord about the lost season last year due to the COVID-19 situation. You, in your case, were robbed of a junior year. Has that factored in motivationally sometimes before games? Is that ever brought up, the fact that you guys are trying to make the most of it, given that you did not play at all last year?
Yeah. It's definitely unfortunate that we lost out last year. But yeah, we had a great group going last year. We definitely still play for those seniors that were lost last year. So yeah, for us, it's just continue on that winning streak and making sure that we are just making up for the lost wins last year and seizing basically every opportunity that we have to make up for last year.
So, Max, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Congrats on graduating and advancing to the Final Four. So you're the guy that, you're going to get John Sullivan. I mean, and if it's not just BG, but you're getting the attention of everybody's top defender. So how have you been able to handle that and still be as productive as you've been this year?
Yeah. So for me, it's just constantly just reminding myself to be a threat. Even if it's not scoring, it's the off-ball passes or just facilitating the offense. Me being able to do that just sets up better opportunities for my teammates if I can't do it myself.
Yeah, so now your game is what Siena loves about you is you're a stretch shooter. I mean, you can shoot the ball. It's kind of similar for you as out there, a guy who can shoot the three, stretch the defense. So is that something that you're just up at Joppa, up at BHS, just working on all the time?
Yeah, definitely during the off season. It was definitely a wall ball, and then shooting plays into that as well. Me being tall, I typically have a harder shot, so just utilizing that because that's a strength that I have. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Have you talked to Chris Kiley at all about what to expect at Siena?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
When I talked to him, he was injured, so he couldn't really tell me much, but he talked to me about how campus life was and practice life. So it was good to get that.
Good. You should definitely lean on him just to know what to expect coming in, because it's an adjustment for any freshman, but to have someone that lives in the same town that you guys are in the same circle, I think will be beneficial for you. So I'm looking forward to following your career. I know you're gonna have a great career there. Just keep working hard, and look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.
Yeah, and Max, why Siena? I'm sure you had other offers. Why did you settle there with Siena?
Yeah, for me, Siena's located in New York, and I'm originally from Long Island, New York. So having that homey-ish kind of feel was definitely a huge factor. And then obviously they have a great program there, so that was huge. And definitely just the atmosphere. It's one thing just to talk to like a coach over the phone, but definitely seeing the place in person and then realizing I could really spend 4 years here. That was what sealed the deal for me.
Good stuff. Well, good luck on Tuesday, and good luck next season as well with Siena. And we appreciate you carving out some time for us here this morning. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Max. Great job.
That's Max
See you, Coach.
Maniello. All 6'3.5" of him.
Come on.
The senior headed to Siena. And you're right about the range. I think he had one from 13-14 yesterday. He scored 3 in a row in that second quarter in the win over Salhegan, and can really light up the lamp.
He's like Trae Young range,
Deep.
like deep beyond the, sometimes, you gotta, we force him to take tough,
Gotta bump him out as far
shots.
away.
You gotta bump him out. You gotta push him, like in basketball. We want to push him off the line, and that's what you got it, because he can shoot it with the best. And that's what Siena loves him, as a man-up guy, as a zone guy, and eventually until he develops into a complete player where he can dodge and get down the alley. But he has that ability. But he's definitely a special shooter. And he likes to shoot.
And you've already made your game plan public? You're going to put John Sullivan on?
There's no secret there. No secret there. Well, and then we're going to put Aiden Ahern on Will Kramer, number 22. Those are their guys at the midfield. And
there you go.
And Matt Cranny will be on Connor Robusto. So
I'm sure Coach Joe Hansmeyer's got his pen taking some notes.
When you play each other twice, I mean, there's not a lot of secrets.
Right.
So
two good athletes going at it for sure. It's a marquee matchup. Again, BG and Bedford facing off. In the D1 semis on Tuesday, the other semifinal is where we will be in Exeter for Pinkerton and Exeter at 4 o'clock. Then the girls' D1 championship between Pinkerton and Riley Bouvier's BG Cardinals will come your way on the nfhs.org website. We will release that, our version of that game, later on in the week. Speaking of, go ahead.
I'm sorry, with your new broadcast partner, Kristen.
That's right, Kristen Cameron, who joined me last night on that Bedford BG semifinal, did a great job back with us on Tuesday. Glad to have her riding shotgun. All right, when we come back, Riley Bouvier joins us. The BG junior headed to Stanford. At times looked like she should be playing with the boys, frankly. In that game last night was outstanding and speared that second-half BG comeback. She joins us fresh off the practice field in just a moment. You're watching the FNLNH Lacrosse show right here on FNLNH and, of course, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Back here on the FNLNH Lacrosse show, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Nick Anastas, along with Chris Cameron. Got Lucy Lacota, the senior from Derryfield, coming on here in a few minutes. But right now, live from the practice field, BG Junior and Stanford commit Riley Bouvier joins us now. There she is in the car. Riley, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You guys look good, particularly in that second half. Last night, you trailed at halftime to Bedford, 7-5. What was said at halftime? Where Bedford had rattled off 6 unanswered goals. Seemed like something was said to get you guys motivated, because you look, frankly, like a different team there at times in the second half. What was the atmosphere at halftime with your club trailing against a feisty Bedford team at halftime, 7-5?
Yeah, I mean, we came out pretty quick and followed our game plan, but we got caught on our heels, and they came back. They're a really strong team. So at halftime, we all just came together, take a deep breath. I mean, we weren't going to get to hang our heads or anything. We were all just talking amongst each other, hearing out from our goalie, seeing the whole field. McKenna was really helpful with giving the offense and defense like some constructive criticism. Our coach just made sure that we were all staying calm. We didn't want to get frantic. We were thinking of the score 0-0. We weren't down or anything, just really wanted to come out super strong.
So there wasn't much of a game plan X's and O's wise, no real change. It was just kind of, okay, we know we can play better. Let's go ahead and refocus. So was it that kind of a thing, or was there really a big adjustment from a game plan perspective?
Well, we were really struggling on the draw circle in the first half, so we decided to put Katie Campbell in the draw, and she just did an amazing job coming off the bench for us and really just putting all of her effort into winning that. And so that was a big switch we made. And just talking more on defense, our defense was kind of all over the place. We've been working so hard all season to work as a unit, and we just did not play like a unit in our first half. So definitely making that switch, and McKenna really upped her game in the second half. She made a couple awesome saves, and just trying not to worry about the fact we were down and just getting a goal one at a time, not worrying about the score. So once we put that mentality in our minds, I mean, we came out just like we wanted to.
Now tell me a little bit about your lacrosse background. Obviously, you've got a brother over there at BG. You've been playing the game for a while. You were heavily recruited over the last couple of years. How did you initially fall in love with lacrosse, and what has your career trajectory been the last couple of years?
Well, I started out, my parents put me in every sport just like most parents do, just trying to find out which one I liked the most. And I started playing lacrosse after my brother started playing, and then he joined the Tomahawks when he was younger. And so then when they came out with the girls program, I joined it then. And then I decided probably middle school that this was a sport I wanted to continue with. I was really strong about other sports like soccer and ski racing, but I decided that lacrosse was definitely the one that I wanted to focus on. So once I started putting all my time and effort into that, then that's where I found my stride and got a lot better, and it's just been all uphill from there.
You said soccer, some of those other sports you tried out. Was track one of them? Because you can fly, frankly. You're one of the fastest sprinters I've seen, boys or girls, frankly. What were some of those other sports that you had to compare lacrosse to before you ultimately said, lacrosse is my favorite, I'm going to move forward with a stick in my hand?
I did play club soccer for most of my life, so I was really strong about that, but I stopped playing. Once I got in high school, I started playing field hockey, so once I dropped that, it was really just deciding between lacrosse and ski racing. I was really passionate about skiing since I was really, really little, and then in middle school, there was kind of two paths you can take, and so I decided at the end of 8th grade that lacrosse was going to be my one. It was definitely a difficult decision, but I'm glad I made it.
From a personality standpoint, there's a lot of talent on that team with BG. I think it's 16 college commits. I may be wrong, but it's in that ballpark. Lot of seniors. You're obviously a junior, but an upperclassman. What is that like, playing with so many talented players where there's only one ball to go around? Are there any issues that maybe arise from that, from somebody maybe thinking that they're being outshadowed or not given a fair shake? I mean, how does that all come together from a personality standpoint when you're dealing with that much talent and those different egos?
Well, I feel like we all have played together for a really long time. Most of our offense, we had a really young team last year before the season got cut short, so we've all been playing together since I was a freshman, these seniors now, and there's not a clash at all. We're really gelled, and we play very selflessly. I trust every single one of the girls on the team, on the field. It's just awesome practicing every day with such amazing players. Like, we get better, we play better. Our defense is like the best I've ever played against, so we get better every single day. McKenna proves herself in practice. We get better. Our offense, it just really pushes us to play our best lacrosse every day. It's really awesome.
Yeah, Riley, you were great as usual last night. I love watching you play. Nick alluded to it. Your skill set is at a different level than any player I've seen in my 18 years watching the girls lacrosse, and then your speed certainly has caught up to the rest of your game, so it's fun to watch. What did you think of the support of the student body last night?
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. I mean, it's always special playing at our home field, but we got really unlucky with the draw this year, getting that 4th seed, so we knew we weren't going to get to play at Stella Stadium anymore, and it was awesome to see such a big crowd supporting us, and it got us really riled up, and especially when we were down, the crowd cheering, and it got us all amped up on the field, ready to go. Our bench was the hypest we've been all year. They were providing so much energy. Our coaching staff, on the field, the energy was really there last night. We were ready to go, and I think that was a huge factor to our win.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about you and your teammates, how the BG student body came out. I mean,
Right.
I counted like 30 of my guys that came to watch them play, and it just says a lot about your team. And I was proud to be part of that, just cheering you on. So last night you showed a little bit of some of those celebrations, last night, a little like like it was what were the two celebrations? They have like the follow through, or did it just take over? Is that something?
Oh, yeah, we planned it before. I mean, our bench normally gets really rowdy and gets hype, and so on the field they were yelling at us. They're like, you guys got to get going. Like, the energy's got to be here today. So that, like, before doing our rain delay, we all brainstormed what we were going to do if we scored. So, I mean, I was just having fun with it out there. I mean, I was just there for the good time. I was having an awesome time playing, and it was just so awesome.
Yeah, it looked like you were having fun. You showed a little bit. You showed, like, a little split dodge underneath for your first goal. You had a righty like rip, and then you had a lefty. You showed a complete skill set. Now that has a lot of talk. That was the state championship. But looking ahead to Pinkerton, I know that you played your freshman year. You played against Pinkerton. It was one of the best state championships I've seen in a while. What are your thoughts? And where did you practice today? Where was today's practice at?
I practiced at Rivier University this morning.
So was it just prepping for Pinkerton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like we had a big talk about our game yesterday, a game plan for Pinkerton, and then a walkthrough of some offense and defense. We got home pretty late last night because of the rain delay of the game, and our seniors have graduation later today. So it was a lighter practice, but mostly talking game plan and strategy, that kind of thing.
Mm. My final question is who's driving the car over there?
Oh, I'm not moving. I'm in the parking lot still. Don't worry.
Oh, all right.
No Tesla action.
I thought I saw some trees going by there in the background. But okay. Want to make sure everyone's safe. That's all. All right, Riley, thank you for joining us. Thanks for putting on a show last night, and good luck on Tuesday as well. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That's the junior Riley Bouvier, headed to Stanford. Didn't have a chance to ask her about that, but we'll have her back, I'm sure, on the show. What a player over there. I mean, there's a lot of talent, as we talked about, but it seems like Bouvier has been the one to really stand out, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, she is. I mean, to her credit, she had 4 last night, and it was a quiet 4. I mean, she could have, maybe the goalie saved 2. She sailed 1 over. She could have had 7. Effortlessly, and that's without forcing anything. I mean, she gets all her teammates involved. I mean, she could just keep going with the goal time and time again and score 8-9 goals a game, but she gets everybody involved, lets the game come to her, just a consummate team player.
Yeah.
And then she did it lefty, she did it right. She scored in all kinds of different ways, and that's why, not
taking face-offs here and there on the circle, right? Yeah. Leading the transition. I mean, it was impressive. She scored 7 in the game we did back in the regular season about a month ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, she has that. I mean, she has that ability to do that.
I think it was against Salhegan, maybe, or Bedford, one of those two. But she's special for sure, and seems like has a good head on her shoulders too.
She does. I mean, she's going to be. I mean, we've had, in New Hampshire, we've only had on the boys' side, we've had very few Under Armour All-Americans. I think. Maybe.
What do you mean, this year?
No, total. So Stephen Boyle, an NHI player in 2006 was an NHI All-American.
Brian, right?
Brian was an Under Armour All-American 18. Sean was Under Armour All-American in 20. I don't think we've ever had a girl from NHIA make Under Armour All-American, but Riley is in that mix where it's the top 44 players in the country, and she's certainly, to me, she's a top 15, top 20 player in that country. And so that's something that we're hoping for. Not too many players get to say no to Duke or no to Princeton or no to Yale. I mean, she had her choice of where she wanted to go, and Stanford. The coach at Stanford came from Northwestern, played at Northwestern, coached at Northwestern, so she's getting a lot of talent out there. And Stanford made the NCAA tournament.
Kristen played for her?
She played for Danielle at Northwestern. Yes,
okay.
Yes. So we know her well, and that had
may or may not have had something to do with it. Sure. Well, how about one final guest, Lucy Lacota. Dairy Field's best and brightest. Senior headed to Colgate. Cougars heading to the championship. Going to try and capture some more magic here over the next week. Lucy Lacota Next, you are watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. The FNLNH Lacrosse Show, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Nick Anastas, Chris Cameron. I want to thank John Sullivan, Connor Hawley, Max Maniello, and Riley Bouvier for jumping on with us. A student-athlete-packed edition of the show. One more to go. And let's bring her in right now. It's Derryfield senior Lucy Lacota, the Cougars, playing up in Laconia Tuesday night for all the marbles, the Division III championship. It'll be Derryfield against Hopkinton. Lucy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations on getting to another championship game. Just one win away from ending your career on a high note. How big would that moment be to win a championship in your season, senior season?
Yeah, that would be huge, especially after losing last season and going out pretty rough the season before that. I think that we've all worked really hard for this game, and I think it would be so rewarding to take it home.
Yeah, and of course, you're losing your junior season as well to the COVID-19 situation. What's it been like dealing with that, dealing with the closures, the lockdowns, the regulations, all the stuff that comes with the COVID-19 situation? What's it been like for you, and particularly your classmates there, that senior class over at Derryfield, over the last 15, 16 months?
I think that we were all kind of on the same page of just using it as motivation and knowing that we'd at some point get back to normal and knowing that we'd have to be at our peak performance when we got there. And so I think that we all worked really hard in our extended off season to get to this season. Yeah.
And from what we've been gathering from other players, from other teams, a lot of the students, especially the older students, have kind of taken the bull by the horns, right? Organized workouts, organized unofficial practices and scrimmages. Were you a big part of that over with Derryfield within the program?
Yeah, so we were able to get on the field about 3 weeks before we normally do, just doing captain's practices. So it was good to kind of get people back into the swing of it and get the underclassmen kind of acquainted with the team that we're running.
And you guys seemingly are hitting your stride now at the right time. You had a big blowout win right at home over Pelham last night, and now again a championship appearance against a good team in Hopkinton. But is your team, you think, playing their best right now at the right time?
I think so. I think we've had two incredibly hard first-round games. We played Bow and we played St. Thomas, our two first rounds, and they were both one-goal games, one of which went into 4 overtime. And so I think that we're we've been challenged enough to the point where we're super prepared for this championship game.
And again, it'll be played at a neutral site up in Laconia. One of the nicer fields, by the way, hidden gem, Bank of New Hampshire field at Laconia High School. Have you guys graduated yet? Has that taken place, or is that still down the road?
Yeah, yesterday we graduated.
So yesterday as well. Okay, so congratulations there as well. What will it be like, I guess, win or lose, to go up there Tuesday night and leave it all out on the field? As Connor Hawley said earlier, kind of bittersweet, maybe nostalgic a little bit. How do you think it'll play out for you and your classmates?
Yeah, I think it's going to be such a great experience, and so many games have happened on that field, and so I think it's a great field to play it on. And I think that it's definitely bittersweet because it's our last game, regardless of if we win or lose. But I think that we have so much motivation coming from playing this exact team 2 years ago and losing in the championship game. So I think that we're super fueled up to take this one home.
Yeah, how well do you know some of those players on Hopkinton, given that you faced them repeatedly?
Yeah, I used to play with a lot of them. I'm from Hopkinton, so but
really?
also but we've also been played them a couple times this season already, so we're pretty well versed in their game.
Does that get you even more motivated, knowing that you know the girls on the other side that well? All right, final question from me. Colgate, obviously prestigious school, good women's program. What went into that decision?
I think that the coaches were amazing, and it was kind of the exact school I was looking for based on school size, location, academics, and lacrosse. And so they definitely made a hard decision easy by just being kind of exactly what I was looking for.
Coach,
right. Lucy, thanks for coming on. How exciting your season has been. So, I mean, 4 overtimes versus Bow. You know, and Bow certainly, that's a tough early round matchup because to me, Bow, Derryfield, Hopkinton, and St. Thomas were probably the 4 best. I could be missing someone. So then you follow it up with another 1-goal win over St. Thomas. And then, you know, a little bit of a good matchup versus Pelham and now Hopkinton team again. So tell us a little bit about that Bow game. How many, did Shauna have to make a few saves, 4 overtimes? I mean, and who eventually got the game winner? Take us through that little overtime game.
So it was, so I got the game winner, and Shauna had probably 10 saves or more up until that point, and she was just getting hammered with shots, but she was always pulling them off, and we were kind of rushing points on offense, and we just couldn't get any goals in until 4 overtime, and so we finally ran one of our plays to get me open, and we got a goal off of it. But, yeah, Shauna and our defense totally kept us in that game because they definitely had the possession for most of the overtime.
Did they really? Wow.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys made the right play at the right time.
And then St. Thomas, was it 8-8, and then you guys went up 9-8, or were you up 9-7?
No, we had a little bit of a lead that they sort of cut down, but it wasn't like a game winner. It was more of they came back a little bit, but then we had to hold it at the end.
You got to hold on. Yeah. Okay. Exciting. And then Hopkinton, Lucy's from Hopkinton. Her dad put in so much time in that youth program developing those players, so it's certainly quite a way to end a terrific career. And then the game in 2019, was that an overtime game, or was it a 1-goal game in 19?
That was a 1-goal game in regular time.
Regular time, wow. So you talk about parity. Division III certainly has that parity this year.
Yeah, that may be one of the closer finals we're going to see, boys or girls. So congratulations again, Lucy. Good luck on Tuesday. Good luck at Colgate with the Raiders. And thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Again, Derryfield senior, Hopkinton resident, future Colgate Raider, Lucy Lacota.
Yeah, she's a terrific player and a terrific leader, too, because you talk about, you have Riley, who has around her 16 commits, and Beachy have like 75 girls in the program. Then you have Lucy with Derryfield, and they have to do everything they can. There's so much relies on her. You know, there's her, there's Sean in the goal, and
there's a lot of newcomers
Lauren
too,
McLean,
right?
Yeah. So I mean, with so much, it relies on Lucy, and then for her to come through with that overtime winner against Bo, but as you alluded to, it's just keeping those girls together, to get them organized, get them motivated. When they play in the indoor league on Sundays. So that indoor league that we run on Sundays, like they play against Bow and they play against Hopkins, they play against St. Thomas. So they all kind of know each other, and everybody's getting better, because if you're not playing, you're falling behind. But so much relies on her, but she just seems like she has a good demeanor and able to handle that pressure.
Yeah.
So
Well spoken, very composed, and seemingly has the stuff that leaders are made of, for sure. All right, Coach, we're going to wrap up the program on an NCAA note. You were down there in Hartford, or East Hartford, I guess, last weekend. Your son Brian on North Carolina gave Virginia all they could handle in that semifinal. Virginia obviously was able to hold off Maryland on Memorial Day 2 days later in a classic. What was your take on the weekend, I guess, overall?
Overall, yeah. I've been going to Final Fours for years, traveling to Baltimore, traveling to Philly, going to Gillette. UConn at Rensselaer Field was what a sight. I mean, just a great sight. It rained. We had practice on Friday from 3 to 5. By 4:45, the rain started, and it did not stop.
Till what, Sunday night? Probably?
The games were Monday till
Monday morning.
Monday morning, the rain finally stopped.
Yeah,
and that was a grass field. The field held up unbelievable. The parking with no traffic in, no traffic out. So from a facility standpoint, people looking to go next year, highly recommend it, because it's back there next year.
It was that easy in and out.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, door to door. When I pulled out of the parking lot, I was home in 2 hours.
Yeah,
and it was great. The level of play was great to see. RIT get a national championship in Lemoyne. RIT has been knocking on the door, but the Virginia North Carolina game was. It was a tough loss, because I really feel like Carolina was the better team, but it's tough when you don't make a lot of saves, and their goalie was great all year, just a great goalie. But their biggest thing for them, man up, was a problem all year. You go 0-for-6, man up. It's tough to win a one-goal game in the Final Four. Going to get caught up with them, but they, it was a good season. North Carolina was ACC champions. That's game, beating Duke at home. It was kind of like the I don't want to say the end of COVID, but they had 7,500 people in the stands. That's something I'm always going to remember.
It seemed like kind of a turning point.
It was a turning point. Yeah. Beating Duke at home with 80-degree weather, and the fans was awesome. Making it to the Final Four, beating Rutgers, Rutgers is just a team that's up and coming, and they're just a exciting program. To beat them in overtime was to advance was great for North Carolina. So, next year with Sean playing, so maybe we maybe get a Princeton in that mix too next year.
Right, right. Well, that's
so the Ivies. They better be back. They'll be back. They'll be back. We'll be back. Life's almost back to normal pretty soon.
Almost. We're getting there. All right. Want to end things on a programming note. We will be in Exeter on Tuesday. Pinkerton-Exeter semifinal on the boys' side. That comes your way at 4 o'clock. Then, in conjunction with the NFHS, you can watch the game live on their website, but we'll have the call on nfhs.org for the girls' championship between Pinkerton and BG. That's at 7. We will release our broadcast later down the line, a couple days or so later this week for free. You can watch it on FNLNH.com, and then, or not in it, FNLNH on YouTube. And then Wednesday, we are right back at it for the Division II semifinal between Derryfield and Portsmouth. That game is on the Seacoast.
What a game!
And that's a 5 o'clock, I believe, start.
Yeah,
with a lot on the line for sure. All right. Want to thank our guests, John Sullivan, Connor Hawley, Max Maniello, Riley Bouvier, and Lucy Lacota, all well-spoken student athletes. Refreshing sometimes to get a show like that where it's students from end to start to finish. So we appreciate all those seniors and wish them luck. They're all still alive, hunting for a championship ring this week. Coach, your final thoughts.
It's been a great season. I got to give credit to the NHIA, each school's administration and coaches and families,
ADs,
to support ADs. To for me it was great. The BG administration, the AD, they wanted us to play. They wanted us to play, and everybody made it happen. So this season has been very few shutdowns. You had right out of the gate, you had Londonderry with a 10-day shutdown. But
but other than that,
it's been business as usual.
Right.
I mean, there was the quirkiness of the 2-game sets, which wasn't too bad. You
kind of like the home and home, to be honest.
Yeah, it was. There's good and bad, but I think teams are at different points throughout the course of a season.
Right.
So to have to play each other twice during that time is not really a true indication.
Right.
It's nice to see how teams develop or don't develop during the course of a year. So I don't love it, but but as I told our kids, we're playing. We're playing. Let's enjoy it. And
to your point, now it seems like the crowds are back.
Oh, last night it was respect that BG has for Bedford has for BG. They had their student section, and they turn out in numbers at Bedford. But last night, I would say it was almost
close to 50-50.
Yeah, more. I think there was more BG.
More BG, man, yeah.
And it was just great. People missed that. I mean, they missed that, coming out supporting their classmates. And you could see, like, after the game, the BG girls came running over to the side, and how important it was. That's why I wanted to ask Riley what she thought about that. Just, supporting girls sports is great. I mean, to come out like that in general was just awesome. I mean, it was a great night. Having FNL there just raises the bar. And then to have that many people cheering, getting into it, good sportsmanship, and it was I got home. I live 5 minutes from there. I got home at 11 at night, so it was a late night, but it was just a great atmosphere to be at. I try to stay as neutral as possible because we have so many Tomahawk girls on that Bedford team that I root for. But obviously, being on the BG staff,
that's really the one thing I think that's been missing up until now is the student body presence in the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, crowds in general, much needed across any sports, professional, youth, whatever. But it's the students in that crowd that really give it that varsity feel and makes it that much more entertaining and that much more watchable, in my opinion.
100%. We won the basketball championship at Oyster River. It was great. It was, it was great, but not having the students.
But not having 5,000 breathing on you is different.
It just didn't feel right. Last night, having the students right on that line right there, cheering was great. That's why I asked Connor Hawley. I mean, hopefully Exeter is going to let their students in. I mean,
the
Master's done. They got it right. I mean, I'm hoping that the
I don't see any reason
I'm
why
hoping
at
that
this
the boys'
point.
championship on June 12th at Bedford, they're going to.
And we've seen students. Not just last night, but in the leaks, I'd say 2 weeks or so leading up to last night, we're starting to see it everywhere.
Yeah, which is
so I think
so needed. Yeah.
Right, we're back, at least on the right path in that regard.
Yes.
All right. Again, thanks to Sullivan, Hawley, Maniello, Bouvier, and Lacota. Thanks to you, Coach, for coming back in. Thanks to the man behind the curtain, Director Ben Beals, and of course the big man in the big chair is Steve Beals, the executive producer, who, by the way, will be back up in New Hampshire this week to help us with our playoff coverage. So, again, BG and Pinkerton. That game will be on nfhs.org, the girls' championship in Division I, with our broadcast released later in the week on our YouTube channel. You can watch the semifinal Tuesday, Pinkerton and Exeter, for free on FNLNH Media. And then same thing with Wednesday's Division II semifinal on the boys' side between Portsmouth and Derryfield. It's a 5 o'clock game from the Seacoast on Wednesday, again, on our YouTube channel, FNLNH Media. All right. My name is Nick Anastas. We say so long. We'll see you next Sunday at 9 a.m. as well. This has been the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks.